Welcome back, everybody, to the Fandom Collective YouTube channel. We got the High Command as well as our new Knight Consulate. I wanted to call him the Australian Knight of Kangaroos, but this is a Stevie J Reviews. What's up, man?
Yeah, going well, going well. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for the new position or the being knighted. I feel very very regal being knighted.
But
So
next
yeah,
next
thanks.
time
Really
next time I'll
appreciate it.
bring a sword. I'll bring a sword so we can make it official.
Yes, please make it a blunt one though, because I really like my ears. I don't want them chopped off.
We'll see. We'll plastic one do. Okay, that might work.
Perfect.
That's good. All right, so everybody in the chat, everybody's coming on in today. We got the Continuum Trek in there. We got US Dutch Kitty. We got Tommy P Reviews. We're going to be trying something new today with this type of live stream. So we're going to do our normally scheduled Wednesday live streams still, like every other Wednesday. But on Sundays, we're going to try to make this a thing, but we'll see kind of how it goes and test the waters first. And we're going to have some rotating guests so that, there's not as many people in the room and you can all, have a chance to speak, and we might even end up putting the link to the live stream in the chat so anybody can just pop on whenever they want to. So we'll try that out, and I figured we'd fill out the first little bit of time getting to know Stevie J Reviews on here. So the guest basically gets to lead the conversation. So we don't, Flip and I don't pick it. We'll just help guide you along with it, and yeah, we'll be here with you. So anything you want to talk about, you lead the way,
Awesome.
bud.
Cheers. Well, I guess first of all, if anybody doesn't know me, Stevie J Reviews, the channel, and yeah, I'm doing movie news and reviews, that sort of stuff. I suppose, for me, I guess talking about the Fandom Collective is a good idea. So I think I joined like 6 months ago, something like that. And at the time I was sitting around 150 subs, I think, something like that. And then I stumbled on Twitter because I don't know how to use that thing. I still don't know how to use it, I don't reckon. But I stumbled across the Fandom Collective. I read the bio and everything. I thought, hey, well, that sounds like a pretty good idea, And you do come across a lot of these, sub for sub kind of deals where nobody really cares. Nobody really gives a damn about each other. And it's just like, you hit the sub button, I hit the sub button. 2 weeks later, we hit the unsub button. You know what I mean? And nobody gets anywhere, and you really don't get anything out of it. So when I saw it, I was like, yep, this looks like an awesome community. I jumped on board. Yeah, and you guys have all been great at supporting me. And so I thought, well, why not support other people as well? And just get to know everyone as well. I might not watch every single channel that's a part of the Fandom Collective because, whether it's because I don't game or whatever it is, but even just finding people that you can connect with, have like a catch up, a stream, a conversation, anything like that. It's all networking and it all helps. So from my personal experience, the Fandom Collective has been awesome. It's really helped me with my channel and doing that networking as well. There's really some awesome creators out there, and all of those creators have something to offer. And look, some are at different stages. I know I was talking to Flip the other day, and some have got as high as 15, 20,000 subscribers, which is fantastic. But there's people sitting there at 50, at 5, at 100. And for those people, I remember what that was like. And it's not like I got a massive channel now, but I remember what that was like. You're sitting there and you're like, has anyone watched my video? Have I got one view? Have I got a like? Have I got a comment? Is anything happening? So even with the collective, just having some people sharing your content gives you that little boost to just to keep going, make the next video, and also so you can learn. There's a lot of great content creators, like I said, and I feel like you can learn a little bit from each one. You might not necessarily like all of what somebody does, but if you only pick up one thing from each person, you're going to learn a whole lot. And that's probably one of the biggest things that I've found is seeing all these different YouTubers and figuring out what they do and how they do it and what's successful and what isn't. And in terms of support as well, it's probably important to talk about what that really means. So obviously we're all after subscribers. Everyone's got the goal to get to 1K, of course, to start with. But real support when you're talking about YouTube probably it really goes more to watch time, because watch time is what YouTube want. They want the advertising, they want the time of the videos, and people engage in them so they can put more ads on there and make more money. That's really what it's about. So, you know, and I'm not saying just go blindly watch everybody's videos just because, but if you really want to support someone, the best way to do it is to watch their videos all the way through, watch their streams, that sort of stuff, because you know, I've tested this a little bit with some of my videos, and yeah, certainly the watch time, the ones I've got the most engagement and watch time on, get boosted by YouTube. And I can tell now when I upload a video which ones are going to go a little bit further than others. And like, I'm not getting a bunch of views, so I'm not saying I've got it all figured out, but certainly the ones where the watch time's sitting at around about 50%, get boosted by YouTube, pushed out to a few more people, you know, and you can see that in your analytics, that sort of thing. But that's one thing I would really, you know, like to get across, I suppose, is that it's awesome to support people by, you know, tweeting and subscribing and all that, because we need the numbers. But also, you know, real support as well is watching people's videos all the way through as much as you can. You know, I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. Do you guys have any thoughts or comments on any of that?
No, we love it, man. This is pretty much what this is for, is to allow the guests to let them speak their mind and say what they want. I agree with so much of that, man. And I know Flip has a lot to respond with that, I assume. this is his daily bread and butter conversation. So.
I'm poised at the starting line, just waiting. No, I agree with you on the watching people. It's not always something every individual has the time to do. And it might manifest itself in a way where you watch maybe 2 or 3 videos while you're at work, or just while you're getting home or on your way home or something. But I agree. I had a guy, you guys know who Aaron Storm is? I don't know if you've seen his channel pop up. Had an idea. He said, why don't we let our channels, you go to my channel and just run through my whole playlist when you go to sleep or something, just let it play all night. I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. He did that for the collective too in return, and got some serious watch time out of it, man. I'm not
for sure
that it is going to push us over or whatever, or would push us over. I don't even know if we're really looking at that right now, but it certainly helps. But you can't do that. Not everyone can do something like that. We did it one time. It was very fortuitous, but I'd say, you know, if you could get 2 or 3 videos in a day, you know, to help somebody, that'd be awesome. I mean, to be honest, 2 or 3 is nothing for me. I really got to get a life. but yeah.
But like you said, though, you know, time. We were talking about this backstage. Time is a massive issue with YouTube, because as creators ourselves, it takes a long time to create a video. Normally it takes a fair while to put it together and, you know, do the editing and all the stuff, the thumbnail. Even when I'm doing a quick one, or what I see as a quick one, it still takes me like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and trying to find that time in the day, plus then going and watching other people's videos and all that kind of stuff, as well as having a life. You know, it's pretty hard to do. But yeah, I think, you know, if you're gonna click on somebody's video, then watch it all the way through. That's what I think. You know, if I'm scrolling through, I may not click on every video that I see, or I might not get to watch everything. But if I do click on one, even if I don't leave a comment, I will definitely watch it all the way through, because you know, it's just because I would appreciate that in return. So and look, normally the videos that I'm clicking on is something that I want to see anyway. So
true.
Yeah, and you know, real quick, there's a really good example that I had. I can't remember. It was about a month ago or something. And the Lonely Banter, he replied to a tweet or a message or something, and he said he was watching one of my streams on replay, one of Mad Squirrel's streams live, and, you know, so he was watching 3 at once. And I just thought, hey, that's cool. You know, he's trying to help everybody. So if you got the time, yeah, it really helps.
Yep, it does. You know, it helps to get people to actually do that too. And I'm really bad at it. And I don't know if you guys have any good ideas for this, but to put something at the end of the video. When I first started, I would always put a skit at the end, just so that, you know, people would watch all the way through. But I didn't always say, "Hey, there's a skit at the end," like an idiot. You know, so you put like those 3 hours worth of whatever into the docudrama or documentary type thing, and at the end you've got the drama and comedy, and people don't even know it. But like I've seen people do stuff where they're like, "Oh, and I've got a special thing at the end, so don't forget." So that's an idea.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
Yeah, and you know, like that's one of those things that you sort of learn along the way. You know, like I was saying before, if you watch little bits of people's different videos and figure out, oh yeah, that looks like that would be good or that would work. You know, I'm still trying to figure that out as well. And you know, I'm just saying this stuff as a, you know, small creator or whatever, but I'm just giving my thoughts of what I've seen. You know, I don't claim to know it all or anything, but that's something that I got to work on. And also for me, I kind of get stuck in leaving things the way they are. You know, I think I left my intro that I actually wasn't that happy with, and I left it for like 6 months. And I knew I didn't like it. I just never changed it. So, and it really only took me about 15 minutes to do a new one. So, just stuff like that, you know, updating your intro or, yeah, like you said, Flip, saying at the start of your video, I've got this at the end. Make sure you hang around and check it out, or just letting people know. Because I think I saw one video where there was a good tip where he said, if you want people to watch your videos and stick around and learn who you are, you've got to make your videos as though nobody's ever seen it before. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody's ever seen a single video of yours ever. Because, you know, it's very easy, especially in communities and stuff like that, you know, Fandom Menace, Fandom Collective, stuff like that, to be thinking of the people in that community as your audience, which they are, but they shouldn't be your only audience, and you should be trying to reach out and get more people, because let's face it, there's millions and millions of people watching YouTube every day, every minute, every hour. And right now, none of them are seeing my channel. So I want to try and reach those people. And some of the, you know, and so when I start my videos now, I'm trying, sometimes I forget, but I'm trying to like introduce myself and make sure I letting everyone know who I am, what I'm about, trying to. So, yeah, it's just a small thing, but all these little small things add up in the end.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, that was almost one of the main reasons why the idea for the collective came to be, because it was like we were starting to notice there's a lot of channels coming up, a lot of really big channels and a lot of small channels, and we're like, you know, there's a lot of the same people watching them that create videos. So it's like all these creators are pretty much watching each other quite a bit, but then you have less and less time to watch. So views could go down if there's more people that are becoming creators in your audience, which makes sense though. But it's like, that's why there should be, you know, branching out to other audience people and whatnot too, to get other people to discover your channel, so that it's not just people in the same circle watching all your stuff. Because that gets harder the more work that you end up doing, and just in life in general, things move on, and it becomes harder to sit and watch something. I mean, I was thinking about that. I was like, man, I used to be able to watch a good portion amount of people's videos all the time, but it's like I would have to schedule like a couple hours just to sit and watch stuff that I don't even know if I want to fully watch in the videos. I literally cannot afford that type of time at all. And it's like, I'd want them to do just as well, which is why I like the idea that we do with the collective. So we try to get other people to help discover each other, because they might, you know, be looking at YouTube and there's not too much stuff that they really are interested in seeing right now. But if they come across the collective and they see all these channels that get posted, well, hey, maybe you find somebody that talks about what you like and shows something that you want to see, entertains you in some certain different way. And we like to keep it in the variety: gamers, comics, movies, anything. So
yeah, absolutely,
spread it around for you.
Definitely. And going on from that, like the tips to help each other. I know I've had people give me feedback on DMs and stuff. Give me feedback on how I could maybe improve some things. I've given some feedback as well. Like an example the other day, you guys would know Giovanna. I think that's how you say it.
Yep.
Giovanna. She put up a video about Star Wars, and look, it was the tiniest thing. She just had all white text with kind of a light background, and I just sent her a quick DM and said, "Hey, the video was awesome, but you might want to just put like a black outline or some drop shadow behind the text just to make it pop out just a little bit." And she said thanks. She went and changed it, and yeah, happy days. Like, it's
Perfect.
not.
We love that.
Yeah, and it's not like, and I said to her, I'm not, an expert, but just from looking at the thumbnail, it would stand out a little more if it had something behind it. And that sort of thing, I appreciate it when people do that for me, and so I'm happy to do it for other people, especially when it's coming from a positive place. Not like,
Yeah.
Your video was rubbish. You need to do this, and this, or you're never going to make it because you're a hack. That sort of stuff doesn't really help. But
yeah, I agree.
When it's constructive, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah, when I first started, I had maybe 7 subscribers, which I think they were either my Facebook friends that never watched my videos, or YouTube was like, we'll give you 7 subs for free, no problem. And, because nobody would really comment, but I'd get like 10 views maybe sometimes, and nobody would interact at all, maybe one comment once in a while. And I'd put all this effort in. I did skits as like 4 different characters and would literally be doing reviews like from each character. Like at the same time, like kind of like a Nostalgia Critic, Channel Awesome kind of thing, but I'm playing as all the people. It was like all this effort. I did like 40 videos like that, and man, it was tough. But I got some criticism a little bit later for how I should do some things, and the videos were very long, usually like 20 minutes, which for a small YouTube channel that you're very new and stuff, there's a lot of and you start the video, you have a review, and it's like a 5-minute skit. They're like, can we, like they don't understand what the channel is yet, so that's too long to have there. And then I'd have like a little intro every time where it shows the title or it's like all these preparation things. And I looked at one of my older videos that I liked. The content was good. It was a Spartacus video, but it was like the first full minute and 20 seconds before you start. And I was like, looking back at it now, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, when is this going to begin? Like, God, just stop it. And then copyright notes. I was very annoyed just looking at my own video. So like I do like leaving them up to look back and learn from. Also, if there's ever anything a creator makes that they're ashamed of, keep it up, because it will be fun to look back and go, that's what the old me did, and look where I am now.
Yeah,
and I'll get a hold of it and make a special video later. Remember that time when you it's coming.
Well, that's a good point. Like I look back now, and I scroll through and have a look down at my first videos, probably about the first 30. And I'm like, what was I thinking? I really wish I had have known something a little bit more about this before I started it. Because I kind of just flicked the camera on and started talking, which, don't go and watch that video. Nobody go and watch that first video.
I'll link that video in the description.
Oh, crap. Oh, no. But yeah, it's a good point. And like when you do, if you look at your latest video now and you go back and look at your first video, you can see yourself, the improvement. You can see, where you went wrong in the beginning and where you are now. And even in terms of just the stuff in the back end, like the analytics and all that kind of stuff, your YouTube SEO, all of your keywords, descriptions, all that kind of stuff. I've been back over a few of my older videos. Just updated some things, updated some titles, keywords, tags, that kind of stuff. And it hasn't had a huge impact, but even just doing a little bit of that, some of the videos have started to, just slowly get a few more views just because they're finding more people. Because that YouTube SEO is not an easy thing to get your head around. And, even I watched a lot of tutorials on it, but even a lot of them are not that clear on really what's most important and how to get it done. But a couple of weeks ago, I watched a really good one talking about keywords and titles and then the tags. And, at the end of the day, being a small YouTuber, the algorithm is always kind of against us in that, it's that whole chicken egg thing. You've got to be a little bit big to get your video pushed, and then it just sort of flows on. But you can get your videos found in YouTube search if you target those keywords and everything right. And like I said, I'm no expert. It's not like my channel is blowing up or anything, but I have just noticed in the analytics that at least on some videos I'm starting to rank in search, which is a start. And something that people don't talk about, and I'm probably almost out of time, but something that people don't talk about is the if you've got vidIQ or TubeBuddy or any of these things that help you, which they do help, often they'll tell you what your keywords are that are ranking in search, and also what's a high volume keyword, because you could have 15 tags that are ranking at number 1 on YouTube in search, but if nobody's searching for those keywords, then nobody's going to see the video, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the best videos that I've had have been some that have had a few keywords that are ranking, but they're high volume keywords, so people are actually searching for it, and my video is somewhere in the top 20 showing up on the first page.
Ooh.
So all of that stuff, to me, that's the beginning. Like you've got to get your video into a position that it can be seen. Then you've got to have a decent thumbnail that people aren't just going to go, oh, that looks like trash. That looks like trash.
Yeah, the eyes will see the thumbnail first before anything.
Yep. So, don't look at, like I said, don't look at that first, like 30 of my videos. And then once people click on it, then it's that whole, you got to keep them watching. You just mentioned that one video of yours, it was a minute 20 or whatever, and nothing had happened yet. So you got to keep people watching the video, which I find is really hard to do. For me, I found scripting my videos works probably the best, because I tend to, and you probably noticed it on this stream, I tend to and a lot to fill in my words and sentences. So if I script my videos, I find that's a lot better, because it just flows. I can still add a bit of energy and stuff into it, but a lot of the reason I personally click off a video, and this isn't necessarily people in the community, but just when I'm watching any random video on YouTube, a lot of the reason I'll click off it is if there's big pauses, lots of ums and ahs like I do, and gaps in sentences and things like that, because it just kind of slows the video down and loses my interest, I guess. So
yeah, I see what you mean. It kind of pulls you out of the experience. So when they do the ums and ahs, you're like, oh, okay.
I think it might really slow it down.
All right. Well,
I see what you did there.
Thank you.
Here. Well, also I asked. So, chat, if you guys want to ask Stevie J any questions, now is a good time to. We're gonna rotate him out in a minute, and then have another person come on. But before then, yeah, you guys got any questions? Go ahead and leave them down in the chat, and we'll get those answered. Over Easy Mode, he is one of our newest creators. His video will be our first one posted of 2020 tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. So look forward to that, guys. I see a lot coming from him. And he says, what do you do when your content is not trending, but rather a niche content? I kind of cover subcultural content.
Well,
Okay.
Definitely. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's cool. I mean, I'm happy to answer if you want, or Flip, you can go.
No, I want you to. Yeah, go ahead. I'm definitely chilling.
Yeah, Flip will zip it. He's good. Just kidding. Yeah.
Well, like I was saying before, I'm not an expert, but I've done enough research, I think, to kind of understand how it works. And it really comes down to finding the right keyword to find your audience. You've got to start with the keyword first. So what is the keyword for your audience? So one of the things to do would be to go onto YouTube, either go incognito, or maybe even type in an @ symbol before you start typing the topic that you want to do. So type that in and see what comes in the drop-down list on YouTube. So YouTube is obviously going to suggest in that drop-down search box all of the videos that are most popular in that niche or in that genre. So if you do that first, you don't necessarily need to pick the top one or the second one, but any in that search drop down box are going to be suggested or pushed more by YouTube because they're searched more. So if you pick one of those keywords out of the drop down search box, and then you focus all of your title, description, and your tags in your SEO around that, then it's going to get much higher rankings in YouTube on search and more likely to be pushed to more people, because the thing basically YouTube want to see is that the title matches the description, matches the tags, and matches what you're actually saying in the video, because YouTube actually do monitor what you're saying in the video to see what it's about and help them get a gauge of what your video is actually about. So with the tags too, it's really important that you don't overdo it. So I would recommend, out of that search box that you initially type in on YouTube, the drop down, whatever the keywords are in there, pick a few that are relevant to the one you chose for the title of your video to put in your tags. But then you need to also type in different ways of typing your title as the keyword, if that makes sense. So for me, I'll give you an example. So for me, I'll use my most recent video, which seems to be getting pushed a little more than the others at the moment. So my title is The Gentleman 2020 Movie Review, right? So my keywords there are The Gentleman and Movie Review. So I focused my tags on those keywords. So I've typed in, like The Gentleman 2020, The Gentleman Review, The Gentleman Movie Review, The Gentleman, all of those things, just different ways of typing it. And this doesn't always be successful, but it's the best way to get there. And I think that video at the moment has got about 4 or 5 ranking tags in search. So it's just about matching everything up so that YouTube's got the clearest idea of what it is you're trying to talk about and the audience that you're trying to reach, so that they can push it to those people. I hope I haven't gone on too long, and I hope that I made sense explaining that from my point of view.
What is subculture content? What would you call that, Stevie J?
Well, to me, that seems broad, but I guess not mainstream. But it's a pretty broad term, as far as I can tell. Maybe Overeasy could elaborate just a little.
Yeah, I think that would kind of mean like if the MCU is like the main cultural content, like pop culture in some way, then like specifically the Iron Man, is that like subculture, or is that like even? I guess that's how I would define it. But like if you're just honing in on one area of a popular net, but I don't really know.
Or even maybe even like lesser known characters or something. So if you're looking at the MCU as an example, maybe it's like the Eternals or something. I don't know, like the less popular characters.
I thought it might be something about where Rook works.
Oh, it's Subway sandwiches. No, not necessarily.
What are we having today? A meatball sub? Okay.
No, well, don't you dare.
I definitely wouldn't make footlong your keyword. You never know what search will come up.
Yeah, true. It looks like. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Shellback is attempting to have a question. To Vegemite or not to Vegemite?
All right. Well, this is a really important question. I'm so glad he asked it. This is critical. So yes, Vegemite, but it's got to be done the right way. Come on, people. You can't just smear that stuff on. You can't just like layer it thick. This is how you do it. You lightly toast your bread. You put on a nice, decent layer of butter first. And then you grab the knife and you just sparingly, very lightly scrape the Vegemite over the top. Delicious. That's how you do it. I've seen these videos of people eating it out of a jar. I mean, come on. It's not chocolate. It's disgusting if you do that. So do it the way I said. And yes, it is tasty.
All right. Well, do you have any last things that you want to say, Stevie J? We're going to rotate you out and have somebody else come on in just a minute. This has been a great conversation, man. You you're good. Streamer, definitely. You have all the confidence. You got good audio. All this. This is a good example to follow, everybody. Now, if you can't top that, everybody. No, just kidding.
I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn from Stevie.
That's good. Yeah, I put Stevie's link in the chat, so everybody go give him a sub, see what he's like. If you like his content, if you don't, then maybe say something, some critique, and don't just go, "Hey, you stink."
Yeah, don't just tell me it's rubbish. Tell me why. Tell me why. But no, all I want to say is, thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for knighting me. I feel very regal and making me part of the team. I hope I can contribute in a meaningful way and help all other creators, as many as possible, to grow as well on YouTube. So really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks, guys.
Well put, Stevie J. We appreciate you, man.
Yep, pleasure to have you aboard. And we'll be in touch. See you later, man.
No worries. See ya.
Cool. All right. Boom. I was about to exit the stream for a sec. That would have been a rookie mistake. Am I right, fellas? And everybody in the chat.
Who's next? Who's next?
So our next guest will be the ambassador, but I don't know if he knows how to use StreamYards quite yet, so he might take a little bit to get on in here. I sent a link out to Fanscene, but he hasn't responded.
Yeah. He mentioned he mentioned to me yesterday he's got 2 family members with birthdays today.
Oh, he's got birthdays. Oh, okay. Oh, that's all right. That's cool. That's cool. We'd like to take a sec to thank the chat and everybody that's in here for coming on by. We noticed some new faces and some old, of course. We got Cine Dave on here. We got Adura Reviews. Please, Aduder. Oh, Aduder. Oh, that's awesome. I was like, Aduder. I don't have my glasses on, so I apologize if I say anything. I should definitely wear my glasses. And yeah, we saw Teresa Martin. I just gave Teresa Martin a mod, so she does have a wrench.
Nice.
She does have the power. I figure since we don't have that many mods, that every stream I might mod somebody.
Yeah, don't feel bad about getting a name wrong, because it took me up until a couple of days ago. We have someone called Toom, Toomedtoo, Toomed 2, but I realized it's Mead 2. Like he's been Me Too'd to death. Yeah, it took me a while.
Oh, I get you. But our guest is here. He has arrived. The ambassador is on the floor. What's up, man?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Great to be on the Phantom Collective live stream today. Nice to see so many familiar faces in the chat. Nice to meet both of you. I have not had a chance to stream with either one of you, so Drookster and Flipped Out, greetings. Glad to be here.
All right, and goodbye. No, just kidding. I'm glad to see you. I'm glad to say too. I don't know if you've streamed before, but your audio sounds great. So this is a great.
I do stream. I started streaming back in I think it was actually December. My very first live stream was actually a Christmas special live stream where I had some guests on and we talked about all the big Christmas specials, Christmas movies, stuff like that. And I've been streaming steadily at least once a week for the last couple of months. I actually just did a live stream last night and everything. I had a Dega Outlaw and Just Another Nerd. And there was one other, I can't recall right off the top of my head, that we just kind of had a chill live stream and everything. Didn't focus on one particular topic. We talked about Babylon 5, which is one of the focus of my channel. We talked a little bit about Star Wars, the fallout from Rise of Skywalker. We talked about pop culture, all sorts of stuff, really. So, but yeah, I do live stream, and I really enjoyed it. Besides doing my regular content as well. So, anyway,
been seeing you stream for a while. A couple months, I guess, since October, you say?
Yeah, roughly. My first official live stream, I think the first one I hosted was in December. I live streamed with a couple of the people where I was a guest. The CJH. I don't know if either one of you have heard of him.
Oh, yeah.
I've live streamed with him. I've live streamed with the Fourth Wave Late Edition a couple of times now and everything, and they've got me kind of in their community now. And I'm just trying to get my voice out there and build my channel just like everybody else. So
it's funny, when I sent you the info on like suggestions, tips, hints, whatever you want to call it, man, you like the very next day you changed your titles are on your thumbnails. Your thumbnails got like popping, man, and
Mhm.
started streaming almost like immediately. I'm like, this guy knows what he's doing. I mean,
Well, I take this very seriously. I mean, not overly seriously, because obviously I have a life outside of YouTube. But my wife, for the last couple of years, has been like, honey, why don't you start a channel on YouTube? Because you have a gift for gab. One unique thing about my channel is, and it's not something that I overly push or promote and anything, but it's something I do touch upon. I come at things from a very Christian perspective. I am a very devout Christian, a Protestant Christian, and everything. And I try to keep my content relatively clean, no swearing or cussing or anything like that, nothing too crude or obscene. But I try to keep it relevant. I try to make it fun by all means. But yeah, my wife was like, for like the last 2 years, she's like, honey, why don't you start a YouTube channel? And I was like, okay, fine. I'll start a channel. And I started out initially as Ambassador Kosh was my tagline, my name and everything on here. But I got over 100 subscribers. I'm like, I don't want to get a copyright strike from Warner Brothers because Warner Brothers owns Babylon 5. So I changed it to simply the Ambassador, and it seems to have caught on. I've started tagging my live streams as the ambassadorial wing, and it seems to have caught on. Like I said, the three main things I cover on my channel right now are pop culture of the 80s and 90s. I'm doing a series of videos on the Babylon 5 universe and so forth. And I do try and mix in a little bit of my, like I said, my Christian background, my Christian perspective on things when it is prevalent, when it matches up with what I'm talking about.
yeah, no, that's wonderful. Yeah,
I think that's a good balance.
So, well, life is all about balance.
Oh yeah. So I just took a peek at your channel right now, real quick. Everybody in the chat, he's at 146 subscribers. If you guys want to give him a sub, get him to 150. That'd be a cool little milestone to break while we're on air.
Yeah, and I've to the ones that are in the chat that I have not subscribed to, Star Wars DTK or whatever it was, or DTO. I subscribed to you, and one person that really gave me a lot of help when I was starting out was PJ over on Orville Nation, because I'm not super familiar with the Orville, the TV show, and I've heard a lot of good things about it and everything. And PJ gave me a lot of good advice or anything, which I took to heart, and I have adapted it into what I do on my channel. The other thing that y'all mentioned in terms of what I do, what I've done with branding my channel and branding my videos and everything, I actually got a couple of really cheap apps on my iPhone and everything that I use to create my thumbnails, to create my intros for my videos and so on. So, but yeah, I hit the ground running.
Hey, Cobb, do you use is it an Apple iPhone or are you using an Android?
Currently I'm on my laptop, actually.
Oh, you said
I
thought you said your phone. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have an iPhone and everything. There's a couple of apps that I found and everything that you can use to create thumbnails and intros for your videos. And I even have a video editor on my phone, because one thing that I do and everything periodically, I'll do something that I do on my channel is I do what I call work videos. Like Jeremy does car videos. A lot of people do car videos. I do videos from work, and I'll
sweet
everything.
I love it.
And I work on my own. I work in environmental services, work in maintenance, and I work on my own a lot of times. And once I get my work done and everything, I usually take maybe 15, 20-minute break, or maybe sometimes longer, or I'll split up my videos and I'll record a video while I'm at work and upload it, and poof, and everything. Work video.
Well, the reason I ask, I'm not trying to interrupt you there, Rook.
No, go ahead.
But I use an iPhone too. In fact, everything I do is strictly on my iPhone. And curious of the apps you're using. I use one called Over, and also talking about this might help somebody else out there When I first met Shellback, as a matter of fact, who's showing there, he said he was doing everything by his phone as well.
Well, it's called. Hold on, let me go to the App Store real quick and everything. I don't really have a way of sharing it on the chat and everything.
Oh no, you don't.
What I can do is I will send both of you screenshots of the app and everything through Twitter, and you can share it out. I actually shared it with Kathia Starr and everything because she was on my live stream last night, and I sent a tweet saying, "These are my intro videos for my videos. What do y'all think?" And she actually got back to me, and she was like, "What do you use?" And I was like, "This is what I use." And it's not it. There are parts of it that are locked off. They're behind a paywall, but honestly, the price that you pay for those apps and anything to unlock the full features is not that bad. It's like one app and everything. The thumbnail app was like $7.99 to get everything unlocked, and the intro video app was like $8.99. Which honestly, considering everything that you get and everything, and considering the quality that you get to make for your intro videos and your thumbnails, it's not that bad of a price, really. So
yeah,
go ahead.
There's one called Over for thumbnails and also doing artwork on top of pictures and video. It's tremendous and it's free. I use the freeware version. If I want to get the actual full version, it's $80 a year, which really I'm not sure how much more it can give you, because I'm telling you, if you have an iPhone and you use Over, the freeware version, you've got everything you really need. Everything you could possibly need.
Yeah. Well, with the apps that I use and everything, I can go on to Bing and I can do screenshots of pictures that I like for my videos, and then I just take them, crop them, put them onto the thumbnail. I can alter them, put titles on them or whatever. I mean, because I'm guessing y'all have seen what I've done lately with my thumbnails for my videos, and I think they look good. I mean, they pop. I think they're relatively eye-catching. So. And like I said, with the intro videos and everything, I like to keep consistency with my videos. I don't like to switch things up a whole lot with my intros. So I tried to keep them uniform, but I try to change it up and everything if it's for a particular topic, because I have currently 3 intro videos. One is for any Star Wars videos I do, anything for Babylon 5, anything for what I call the World Before It Went Woke videos and anything, which is like I'm going to use for my pop culture of the 80s and 90s videos. So
yes, I'd say I'm looking at your channel right now, and yeah, your thumbnails are pretty awesome, man. And I'd like to say also, congratulations, you just passed 150, buddy.
Oh, okay. Well, I got some notifications on here. I've got my YouTube thing opened up. Decot Star Wars, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. I actually got a couple of subscribers last night too during my one my live stream. So, but yeah, I'm very much all in for supporting one another, trying to build each other up. As I said, that's part of my Christian background, my mindset. So, and the other thing that I wanted to mention with my channel, I don't get a whole lot into all the current, for lack of a better word, controversy in terms of like with Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever, because I figured there are enough channels out there that are already covering that. If I feel like I have a different perspective or something that I can bring to a current topic, I will obviously talk about it, because I've done it in the past. I've kind of tied into the topics that I do cover on my channel. Like, for instance, I did a video, it was one of the very first videos I ever did, was on strong female characters of the 1980s and 90s and everything. And it just... The thing that bothers me and everything about this whole narrative of strong female characters not existing up until like 2015 or 2016, I think is just a load of bunk and everything, to be perfectly candid. And what I talked about in that video was the fact that, hey, Hollywood, guess what? This idea that you're pushing, it's not a new one. It's not an original one. It's one that's been around since cinema has existed, at least since the 1970s when cinema really started to get big. So, but Yeah, that's my 2 cents on that. Now, one video that I really did enjoy doing was I did a couple of videos and then I did a follow up and everything. I did one on the great villains of the 1980s, and I went back because I felt like there was one in particular that I really wanted to dissect, and that was actually Emperor Palpatine. And I titled that one "The Rise and Fall of Darth Sidious," and I got a very good response from that one as well. So I was very encouraged and everything with that fact, because I hated to see what they had done to Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker, and I'm like, this was a great character. I mean, I know the focus of the original 6 Star Wars movies was Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, obviously. But one point that I made was I made the argument that this was also Palpatine's story.
Yes.
And everything. Now, granted, you don't see him in Episode 4, and he only has a brief cameo in Empire Strikes Back. But since Lucas went back and redid the hologram, you've got the same actor playing Palpatine from beginning to end. And honestly, I think Palpatine was one of those really true great villains of the pop culture of the 80s and 90s and even currently.
The best.
And to see what has been done to him, and I know everybody lost their crap and everything when they had Ian McDermott there, I think at Star Wars Celebration or whatever. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
They're not.
That was my thoughts too. It's like, no, you brought him to the Disney fold.
No, I know.
Got a quick
Yeah,
thing about that. Have you guys ever heard of a YouTube channel called Night at the Movies?
Yeah.
The boyfriend who shoe on head or husband or whatever it is. Anyway, I was watching his review just last night.
His name, I think his channel name is Armored Skeptic, and their show where they review stuff is Night at the Movies.
Oh, I think you're right. Yeah. So, but anyway, he said this about Palpatine. He said, and he was convinced. Now, I don't know if I didn't see it this way. Maybe you guys see this, but he's saying that because Palpatine at the end of Tross was there, that the one in the prequels was a clone. Did you see it that way? I didn't see it that way.
No. Here's the thing. Even though Disney decanonized the expanded universe, they have been stealing from it since 2015 with every single one of the sequel movies, and actually a little bit anything for the 2 anthology movies for Rogue One. Now, they didn't do too much with Rogue One, and I did not see Solo, but I would almost bet money that they probably put some EU stuff for Solo in there. Because here's the thing with the EU. I remember when Dark Horse had the license for the Star Wars comics, and they actually did a really cool follow-up and everything. I think it takes place a couple of years after the original Thrawn trilogy that Timothy Zahn did back in the early 90s. And they brought Palpatine back, and he was, in fact, a clone and everything. But here's the cool thing with that. It didn't necessarily break canon, because if either one of you are aware, there are within the Star Wars franchise, there are grades or degrees of canon. You've got the mainline movies that are canon prime, and then you've got the EU canon and everything, which is, I think, like canon beta or whatever way you want to put it. Everything. Now, obviously, you can make the argument that the EU does expand and continue from the original movies, and I don't have necessarily a problem with that. But if you want to detach the EU from a canon prime, the movies itself, you can, and it doesn't break the narrative. And the storyline that they used a resurrected Palpatine, was called Dark Empire 2, and Empire's End, where Palpatine transferred he was able to retain his soul, for lack of a better term, and transplant into a cloned body of himself. And honestly, that was an excellent storyline. It was a great storyline and everything. It was a great piece of EU material that Dark Horse created. And it just, what they did with Palpatine, because I went and saw Rise of Skywalker, me and my wife, and a couple of our friends from college and everything, we all wanted to go see it, even though we knew it was going to be a disaster. But we hadn't seen these friends in quite a while, and we all wanted to spend time together, so we ended up going. And I had a headache from the opening credits till the moment I walked out, because I ended up getting up and leaving the theater and everything. Now I stayed in the lobby because I didn't want to leave my wife and my friends behind and everything. But I had a headache from that through that whole bloody movie until I just could not stand anymore. I left right before the Raylo and Ben kiss. It was right after I think they had after Ray had defeated Palpatine. And I am sorry, that was not Emperor Palpatine. That was brain dead Palpatine, or a brain dead Emperor, because he was never that stupid.
Yep.
His whole thing, him being introduced at all, made him look really dumb in every way, shape, and form. Even though they're like he was behind everything, but it's like so he built secretly the 3 biggest empires, like, but one took like 30 years and one took like I don't know, and then just this one's here too, and I'm gonna announce all of it is so dumb. Like just before he does anything on screen, the premise in the chat in the title crawl makes him really stupid.
Yeah, and that opening line, the dead speak, and I actually did a live stream on the Rise of Skywalker, and I had a few people on to help me dissect this dumpster fire. Have you ever, Fanzine, have you ever heard the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? I'm actually going through the Plagueis audiobook, and I am very impressed and everything with what was written in that. And Fanzine actually makes another good point, just a few things down. Would have loved to see the son of Mortis be the villain.
Yeah, that was actually part of their plan, actually. They had a guy on set. Yeah, go ahead.
Matt Smith, the 11th or 12th Doctor. He was going to be the son of Mortis. I would almost bet money, because if you put a side by side of Matt Smith just out of makeup and a picture of the son of Mortis from the Clone Wars, there's a very good resemblance there, and it would have worked.
I just watched the Son of Mortis arc on the Clone Wars last night, and spoiler warning: the Son of Mortis dies. But that's one of the reasons when I heard that that's what they were going to do, I was like, oh my God, I want to see that. I wonder if that's in the George Lucas cut. # release the George Lucas cut.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing. If you consider the power of what Star Wars Theory and everything, he did a series of videos on the what he calls the ones, and that's the father, the son, and the daughter and everything. And then he actually did one on the mother, which was Abeloth.
Oof, yeah, that one's creepy, man. Now, I love that. Just her face makes me want to read that story.
Yeah. Here's the thing. Even though the son of Mortis was seemingly killed, you could have made the argument that he somehow was able to resurrect himself, considering he was the embodiment of the dark side. Because it is very possible that eventually the father's powers had diminished so greatly that the son was able to eventually come back. And U.S. Dutch K, thank you for the correction. I thought I couldn't remember if Matt Smith was the 10th or 11th Doctor and everything. Obviously, Tennant was the 10th one, so Smith would be the 11th, and Capaldi was the 12th, and then we've got Jodie Whittaker. But I think, honestly, the son of Mortis would have been a much better villain than trying to do a half-baked resurrection of Palpatine, because they used a line at the beginning of the movie that was honestly one of the great pieces of dialogue from the prequels and anything, when him and Anakin are singing that opera house or anything, or that theater. And he says, the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities that some consider to be unnatural. And then they reuse it. And I'm thinking, can you possibly be any more lazy? Abrams and
that was the reason
Kennedy.
For him being alive. They're like, well, it's unnatural, so that's how he's alive. And it's like, what?
No.
I thought the whole thing was that the Sith kind of couldn't really figure out a way to stay alive indefinitely. Like at best they can like possess an item maybe or something.
Yeah.
Not anything with a body.
No, what the Sith are able to do is it's kind of like in the same vein of Voldemort from Harry Potter. They can detach a portion of their soul, or whatever way you want to put it, and then it can inhabit and everything that body, or it can inhabit that object and everything. It doesn't. The Sith cannot become a Force ghost or a Force apparition the same way the Jedi can, because you have limitations with the dark side, and that is one of those limitations and everything. Because I did a lot of study and everything on the metaphysical aspects of the Star Wars universe and the Sith and the Jedi and everything, and I have that up here in my head canon. And the Jedi and everything, they were able eventually to gain access to that ability. If y'all remember, there was the 6th season of the Clone Wars that was released through Netflix directly, and that was part of what Yoda, that mission that Yoda went on and everything, was to discover how to retain his consciousness after death. And he encounters what some people have termed the Force priestesses. And they're very aspects of the Force, but they're actually tied to various, for lack of a better term, human emotions. And eventually, Yoda goes through all these different trials that the Force priestesses put him through, and he's able to gain access to that ability. And he's able to pass it on to Obi-Wan and everything down the road and everything. And he mentions it in episode 3. And Mandy Summers, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're at. Glad you're here. But the really cool thing about the Star Wars galaxy is you've got such a diverse plethora of topics that you can cover. And I actually covered one just a few days ago. I had this idea of doing a video, and actually ended up doing a follow-up video on it as well. I titled it Religion in Star Wars. And what I discussed is this idea. I came at it from two different viewpoints. I came from the Jedi's perspective. I came from the general population, the non-Jedi population of the Star Wars galaxy. And I talked about various different metaphysical aspects of the Force, how the Jedi viewed the Force, how the general population viewed the Force, and I'll just give a real quick, short summation of that video. My basic argument was that the Star Wars galaxy, outside of the Jedi Order, they had built this kind of pseudo-spiritual religious belief around what the Force was. And you get bits and pieces of that and everything, in particular in a lot of the expanded universe material, but you also get that very much so in Rogue One. Because while you never see it on screen, you see Jyn Erso carrying around this Kyber crystal necklace that was given to her by her mother. And her mother, at the beginning of the movie, if y'all recall, tells her, she ties that necklace around her neck and holds up the crystal and says, "Trust in the Force." And that's almost, I made the argument that that's almost like the general population has built some sort of, like I said, spiritual religious belief system around this idea of how they understand the Force. But in terms of how the Jedi understand the Force, they come at it from two different perspectives. In terms of what Qui-Gon Jinn tells Anakin in episode 1, he tries to explain it in sort of a way that's more pseudo-scientific, but at the same time, it still ties in with what Obi-Wan tells Luke in episode 4 and everything. Because if you remember, Qui-Gon tells Anakin, without the midi-chlorians, we would have no understanding or knowledge of the Force.
Yeah, I saw it as like a mix of science and magic. Like, you call it one thing, you can call it another thing in a way too.
Yeah, exactly. So, but well, Tommy, you're in the minority or anything with that one. I liked Rogue One. If you don't like it, that's fine. Everything that's your personal opinion, you're entitled to it. So,
Oof, yeah, I disliked it as well, but that's a whole different conversation for another day. But,
yeah,
this has been great. I do have another person to rotate on in a couple minutes,
Yeah.
but if you want to give any last thoughts, it's been a great conversation.
Yeah,
I haven't actually looked at your channel until now, like all the way, and I'm definitely going to check out a few of these. I'm not a huge religious person, but I do like seeing some different takes like that when involving Star Wars. There's so many different angles, so I'm going to check some of those out, man.
Well, that follow-up video and everything, I didn't lump in a whole lot of Christianity with it. I came at more from a spiritual aspect more than a organized religion aspect.
That's fine. Well, and I mean, I guess I meant because Lucas took some inspiration from the East as well.
Oh yeah,
and stuff and all these other different things. I like hearing about those ones as well. So that might see these. He does have some live streams, guys. So check him out. Yeah, if there's anything else you want to say about your channel or about videos coming out or streams you're going to do or whatever.
I will be releasing a couple of videos this week. I'll be resuming my Babylon 5 series, and I'll be doing another entry in my 80s/90s. I'll be focusing right now. I'm focusing on the 80s pop culture series and everything. It might be, I think it'll be another movie review, but I'm eventually going to be expanding out into like television shows, like sitcoms and what have you of the 1980s. But it's been awesome. Rookster flipped out. I appreciate the time. And to everybody in the chat, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And I'll see y'all around YouTube.
All right. Thanks for coming by, man. We'll talk to you later.
Signing off.
Later.
It was a pleasure, Ambassador. Y'all make sure you definitely sub the Ambassador if you haven't yet.
Yep. Tommy is dropping links down in the description below. Thank you very much, Tommy. Granted a few new people a couple more wrenches. I mean, why not? Because I think we only had like 3 wrenches. So I think we can expand. But let's just not waste any time. We have our next guest right here, U.S. Dutch Kitty. How's it going?
Hi, everyone. I didn't expect this kind of turnout. I'm a little nervous.
All right. Well, now you're on the spot. Start talking.
Oh, no.
You're good. Yeah, I'm going to introduce you real quick. Yeah, this is U.S. Dutch Kitty. You said you just started your YouTube channel recently. Start talking about it if you want or things that you want to do with it. I'm going to look for your channel link.
Right now, it's only 2 videos. I mean, really, it's that new. But yeah, I originally wanted to start a YouTube channel because I guess you could blame Gary of Neurotic, because I found Phantom Menace because of my distaste of Star Trek and Doctor Who and how it's being treated. And so I was kind of waiting until Doctor Who. It is my first series that I'm covering, and just of reviewing it, my opinions, especially from a female perspective, because it seems like the fandom is very torn of just how this is all going. But yeah, I am doing movie reviews. I'm actually going to go see Dolittle when it comes out this month with Robert Downey Jr. in it. But I just want to be kind of diverse with what I don't focus on one thing. I just pretty much things I grew up with and things I love, and I want to try to preserve them as they should be and not what's happening to them.
That's a good way to do it. I feel like, doing what you want to do with it is the better way to go. Yeah. I'll tell you too, like when I first started, I did some reviews, or not just some when I first started, but I would do some reviews on movies that just came out, like that came out within the year, and do reviews on them. I did not really like making those ones as much as I did for the movies that people haven't seen very much of, like some rarer movies that I enjoyed that aren't popular. Those got the most views, and those got, over time, it took a while, but like those have reached over 700, as to where ones that I did like on Alita Battle Angel or something were like at less than 100. And it was like, and the ones that were about the rarer stuff were more fun to make, because it's like, nobody talks about it. Nobody else, there's no videos for it. So it's like perfect field. So I'd say definitely find what you feel that you want to do with it. Even if it's an area that people cover, like you said, Doctor Who and whatnot, there's always a niche in it. There's always something that some people can miss. And it's always good to get a newer take.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I had to cover the Disney trilogy. and it was trying to be like a review over it, but I just felt like what I really had to say was I'm just sick of, everything of the female movement, using our franchises, our loves. And again, from what Stevie J was just saying, it seemed like it wasn't until 2015 that women were in the front.
Yeah.
And I even said, what about, Sailor Moon? What about Xena? What about, I grew up in the 90s.
Yeah, there's plenty of them, and again, like even Dark Angel, that was a young Jessica Alba as a kick-ass chick from back then. There's Castle, she was basically the strong, smart one of the group, while Castle played Nathan Fillion was kind of the dummy friend, but he wasn't a dummy. He was still intelligent and had his own skills, and they worked as a good pair. And it's like they act like they invented the strong female like after 2015. Like, it's like no, they've been around for a while. They didn't just. It's not a brand new fresh thing out of the oven. It's it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, and it's like I was talking with you, Power Rangers.
Yes.
1993. Kimberly Hart and Trini Kwan. That's what made me love pink and yellow. As some of my favorite colors was those two, and showing girls that can be feminine and be heroes, and still have everything go on with them.
Well, and it's like Power Rangers in general. Every single season, they've had the most diverse groups every year. But it's like it doesn't even seem to be like they're trying to get points. That's just what they want to have is just diverse groups anyway. And they don't make each one based on a stereotype. They literally have their own personalities. You couldn't stereotype guess what they'll be like.
I mean, even with sorry for the Power Ranger talk for all of you over there, but but everybody still, a lot of Power Ranger fans still love to this day Jen from Time Force.
Yes,
she was literally the leader of the group, not the Red Ranger. And this was 2002-ish?
2001, actually.
One, okay.
Yeah, and I agree. No, she was one of the best Rangers in the whole series ever in their conception, as one of the best. And it's like, oh yeah, no strong women. Yeah, bullshit. No. Yeah,
and it's like I was talking about, raised in the 90s, and what I love is, if you remember, Animorphs. The book series. If people think of the TV show, I think of the book series. TV show, it doesn't exist to me. That was on Nickelodeon. That is something that people don't know about, don't read about, because there's so many books. You could go, they're making audiobooks, takes 2 hours to listen through. But if you talk about diversity and everything you think of, it looks like a kid's series, but it goes through so many adult things of just 5 kids that try to save the world from body snatching aliens that will make your head spin. And this was from 1996 to 2000. And I don't know how the editors of Scholastic let it be okay with what they let slide.
Different time. That was a completely different time compared to now, apparently.
Yeah, and I have actually interviewed Michael Grant. He is he was a young adult author. He is the husband to Catherine Applegate, Kay Applegate. And he said that, yes, at times Scholastic was just like, no, you're popular. We don't really care. We're not really watching what you say. But I want to bring things like that to the forefront because it's being forgotten about. Because of now, let's just repackage everything and let's dumb it down. And I was raised with my TV shows that it didn't have to be dumbed down.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah, and it's like with Disney Plus, a lot of people harp on it, but Gargoyles, if you talk about strong female leads, villain and heroes, and very diverse cast members, and most of the Star Trek Next Generation cast were in that show, and that's one of my first big loves when the internet started, and so it's just so. I just want to bring all that out. It's like, hey, Hollywood, we know that you're listening to us and we're not buying it. And we want to tell the normal people, the regular people, that you shouldn't buy it either.
Yeah, I feel like they're trying to reboot history in the process.
It is.
And it's not just with movies and rebooting a movie. It's like now they're trying to reboot events in history at some point. It seems like with video games. I mean, that's kind of what people don't seem to understand. It's like we're not complaining specifically just because it is a black person or woman or whatever. No, it's like you're doing it in the wrong place, like or the wrong area of something. You know, you're like when it's with history or when it's with anything.
Yeah,
you can do whatever with it, but it just depends. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it'll depend.
Yes, and real quick, Continuum Trek. Yes, exactly. Jadzia Dax and Meiji Kira, they were my powerful women on DS9. I absolutely love DS9. Yes. I mean, I wanted to be Jadzia Dax, because she was a science officer. And, I hate to use a brunette, but brunettes are usually shown as shy women. Shy girls, and she was, and she's very assertive, and she's very sure of herself, even though she has all those memories of different lives, and yet she still goes forward. And I loved it, and we need to see that again. I call them my adopted nieces, and they're 7'4", and they're at that age where Disney is target audience of like Star Wars and Frozen and everything. And my friend, their mom, and I are just like, no, girls, go over here, look at the good stuff. Are you afraid of the dark? Let them think. We want to think. We're not sheep.
I
will tell you what to think.
Yeah.
I grew up in the 90s as well. And
you're an old man. Don't lie. You're an old man.
I don't know about old enough. But back then they didn't really have any sort of virtue signaling. I know I did just text that, but it's true. I'm listening to you talk about each different female hero, or someone you could look up to as a little girl, or even as a boy, like Ripley was mentioned. I her. I thought she was a badass. So it's just now they want to, like you said, they want to tear it all apart and start it all over on each, franchise. And I don't think they're scared to break it.
Mm-mm. It's like I said, what they're doing with Doctor Who right now, what rumors that I have heard through Neurotic and Doomcock and everything else is exactly the same thing. That they want to rewrite the Doctor's history to the point of breaking it because of agenda. And I'm saying, as somebody who loves lore, keep it where it is. You can expand on it, but don't break it like we've seen with Star Wars. It's ridiculous. Especially for, my brother, he's the one who got me into Star Wars. He's born in 1977. He saw Return of the Jedi when it came out, and he was really little. But, he's the one who turned me into a tomboy.
It's so bad. It's bad enough that they're putting this agenda out there regardless of what franchise they break.
Yeah.
They're not creative enough to come up with something new, like Ghostbusters. When it first came out, everyone was like, wow, this is crazy and new and good. Star Wars was the same. Nightmare on Elm Street, the same thing. I mean, pick one. Star Trek. That goes back a little further, but it was brand new. Nobody thought of that before. Now the creatives are all trying to reboot and steal something, and it's bad that they break it, but they don't even know how to make something new to fix it.
Well, it's like I've told you that I've interviewed this author, Michael Grant. He did a young adult series called Gone series. And it was basically the concept of what if a kind of supernatural event happened around town. I think there was a series that was after this called The Dome. But what if this event happened around this town, but everybody over the age of 16 disappeared and all these kids are left? What do the kids have to do to survive because they're stuck? And some of them start to develop abilities. And it is very adult for a young adult series. And he is trying to get it made. There's a British executive producer who is interested, and they're going to Hollywood. And he has said Hollywood is scared to do it because it's not something known.
Right. Yeah.
So he's going through so many hoops, and he's having to do the connections, through his British contact. And he's been doing it for a year and a half, and they just now are able to do like a little 2-3 minute teaser to it. So that's just saying hey, we want fresh ideas. Even if it's, when the creatives are saying, no, I want to do it myself. I want to get my people that know my stuff and not just hand it off. Again, going back to Animorphs, that Scholastic screwed Kay Applegate out of her royalty rights, and they could do anything they want. They only can consult. They don't have nothing outside of that. And
there's
so
go ahead. Sorry.
So outside that, it's just when again we see like with EBS and so many other comic creators, it's like we're gonna make what we want to make.
And in the process, steal whatever you have and change it if we have to.
Exactly. It's like I remember back in the 2000s, Hollywood was really nervous about using fan ideas because of being sued. Greg Weisman of Gargoyles, he loved the Gargoyles community. They even made a fan fiction like sequel series after the second season, and he's like, I can't look at it. I want to. Some of these people are my friends now. I can't look at it because I feel like I will be sued. So
yeah, it's interesting how you mentioned that with the fans, because like even in Japan, like Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, like there's this one guy who, for a while when Dragon Ball was kind of dead on the air, there's a lot of fan fictions going around, a lot of fan stories and ideas, and one of the artists really impressed him. And he thought really captured like his type of essence and chose him to be one of the main illustrators on the manga, like of the Dragon Ball Super. And like that shows some fan dedication there, and shows that the creator recognizes that fans have talent and can do things. And even with Star Wars and Star Trek, all these different fan things that get made, that's where I think the true creativity is at. And it's like, then you look at Hollywood and what they produce, and it's like, really, guys, you can't think of anything. Like these guys that have nothing, these people that have almost nothing other than their, the paycheck to paycheck, lives, are able to make something way more creative and inspiring and interesting than what they try to reboot and can't even do with the title.
Well, even with that, beyond that, it is the fan rights that's being violated.
Yes.
Of that content, not just of fan films, but fan art. Stephen Moffat got a lot of flack for using the Statue of Liberty as a weeping angel because he admitted he saw fan art, very convincing fan art of that idea, and he used it. I mean, that's where that limbo is in place between fan rights versus the creator rights. And it's hard because the BBC owns Doctor Who. There's not one person, one thing. It's a whole system. So you can't just point at it and say, I'm going to sue you.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
And, growing up with being a fan artist myself, with writing, and writing Harry Potter fan fiction way back in the day, and all that. So I really am for the fans of the creative fans. And I feel like I have to protect the ones that get picked on, even if it feels like the fan film people, they're trying. It's like we saw with Obi-Wan. That fan film was gorgeous. That recently came out. But for the artists, for the writers, that we see that their stuff is getting stolen and shown and put on, and I got to protect that. It's just no, Hollywood, you can't do it. You got to stop it.
I'm curious, how do you? This is my first time meeting you, U.S. Dutch Kitty. Are you in law or something, or how would you?
People keep telling me
you're taking that seriously. She's very passionate, I would say.
That's a good thing. Passion.
Extremely passionate.
I actually did take like law classes in high school. And I dated a lawyer.
You're pretty much a lawyer. You're about half a lawyer.
But so I know about dramatic rights and what that means, and especially for fan works, that people can, it depends on who it is, but dramatic rights means anything said, heard, or in motion. That's very broad for anybody.
I hear you saying that you're trying to protect them. Did I hear you right? Or
I'm trying to protect. When I say I want to try to protect the fandom and the creativeness of the fandom, and saying to Hollywood, you can't do this anymore. We see what you're doing, and it's like we saw with the Reylo thing.
Yep.
It's like you cater and look, it stabbed you in the back because you listened and because you thought it was a quick buck.
You brought that up just now. Like I've been hearing this quite a bit, and it's like, with the Reylo thing, the shippers are quite common with fandoms and stuff. Like I'm pretty sure.
Believe me, I have my own little ship.
So it is very bizarre that they're like, we're throwing a bone and put it in here. It's like that's not ever supposed to really be the thing. It's like
no,
it's literally for their fans' imagination. That's what shipping is.
Yeah.
Let's make that real now. It's like, no, that's not usually a good idea.
No, I mean, I literally thought that it was going to be Finn and Rey because that was the setup.
Yeah,
that's the only one that makes any logical sense. Even her would not have made any sense in my opinion because they've only had like 10 minutes of screen time.
Yeah,
together.
I was on that train from the beginning, but then everybody talks about The Last Jedi and just went down from there. So,
separate all our protagonists. Let's separate them.
Let's separate them out. Let's separate them. Let's subvert our expectations. I'm so sick of hearing that.
That word loses all meaning now.
Yeah. So that's what I am coming from a fan perspective. Anybody that's listening is passion, and Hollywood has lost the passion, and we haven't, and we got to keep showing them that from different perspectives.
When I say I love your passion, holy shit! This is this is an example. You said, you have 2 videos up, but that's why people should subscribe now, because once the minute you start posting, more content and you get your ideas down, like how you're talking right now, like this can be just talking like this is great content. You are you're talking a lot of stuff that people are feeling. It's from somebody new and like from different point of view with it, and it's great. I love hearing this from you. I love the passion, and that's one of the basis for a YouTube channel that I think it should be is passion. Because if you're doing it just because you want to or just because something, I mean that's fine. But a lot of people end up not liking it going down the line, and it becomes really stressful rather than something enjoyable that you want to do. You want to have conversation and get it out there.
Yes, I some people think of me as an introvert, and it's like no, you just got to give me the right conversation, then I won't shut up.
It goes back to when we were talking to the ambassador. I wanted to mention it then, but if you aren't enjoying this, then it's going to show in your work.
Yes.
The passion, you're right. Both of you are right. It shows in what you do. You enjoy it. The process is fun.
Yes, it's like I told you, I draw. And I put my own version of what the topic is going to be in the thumbnail. I have an official image, but then I have my little avatar of me, kind of like whatever I'm thinking or what the presentation is going to be.
Are you're the one doing art? I think I've seen some of your art. Is that right, Rookie? I've seen some of her art.
I'm not sure actually.
Oh, okay. Well, you drew your thumbnail or your avatar, correct?
Yes.
That's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, and I've been drawing. I've been doing some things behind the scenes I don't want to say because there's some people that knows people.
Okay. Good point.
Yeah, to go down the grapevine.
Mm-hmm,
So yeah, I have things in the works. Especially I will talk the Orville when that starts up. I love the Orville. I was just with Orville Nation last night for about 30 or 40 minutes, and I just can't wait for that to come back. That is to me right now Star Trek, just with humor, and we got to show we got to show CBS that we're sick of this. Give us what we want and not make fun of us, because we're sick of being made fun of. And when I can't watch a show with my dad because you guys are thinking about, oh, we're going to look cool if we do this, and it's very brutal for a family show, quote, quote.
Yeah.
I have to open my mouth because my dad, my brother got me into all this stuff, and now I can't watch it with them. I have to watch the old stuff.
Yeah, well, all the new stuff always references the old stuff, and it doesn't work the way they do it half the time. Like there might be like 3 or 4 reboots that are like, oh, that's actually not too bad.
Well, even trying to up the rating.
Oh, I know. I don't understand that either. Sometimes restricted ratings make the directors have to be more clever in how they show a scene, and you could still have the same impact without it being as graphic. So
yeah, I mean, there's.
You meant by the rating, or?
Well, I mean, like mature stuff for Star Trek.
Oh right. See, I actually haven't watched any Star Trek, so I didn't exactly.
STD. Yeah, I can't watch that with my dad. You know, I told him, I said, hey, I'm going to watch Picard, to review it. I know I'm not going to enjoy it because of what I've seen, what they've done with Discovery. So, I just know it's not real. It's not what we grew up on.
When you say mature stuff for Star Trek, I grew up also with the Next Generation. Which Star Trek are you talking about?
Well, when I'm talking about like mature, I'm talking about Discovery.
Oh, okay. I only saw the first one, and I didn't watch beyond that.
Oh, Discovery, yeah. There's certain words I can't say because you know how YouTube is. Certain R words. Very mature content that's supposed to be for a, quote, family type show. Or things that just shouldn't be there. So because they haven't gave me Star Trek. The Orville, a parody, feels like Star Trek to me.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
And it hits on even more than just like 1 or 2 topics, maybe even 4, so subtly that when you think back on it, you're like, did I just see what I thought I saw? And you rewatch it again just to confirm it, and then you want to talk about it. And that's why we have the Phantom Menace. We have everybody who wants to talk all of this and and dissect it and be nerdy. I love being nerdy more than anything.
We're so mean, though. We're so mean.
We're so mean. And I don't know how we're so mean and how I'm so mean because I'm a girl. I'm not supposed to be mean. It's supposed to be all about me now.
We're supposed to protect you, but we'll yell at you if you don't agree with our virtue signaling. So.
Oh, yes. All the white knighting. Oh my god.
Oh yes, I did make a shirt that I didn't really push very much yet. I'm going to soon. It's like it's like a white knight shirt, and it's like I'm going to protect, or women are strong. Hold my beer while I go save them. It's like a little cartoon. But I wanted to comment real quick on the Orville things. Like I haven't watched it really, and I haven't watched any Star Trek at all, like any of them in any way, shape, or form yet. I will someday, at some point. Well, but with the Orville, that's Seth MacFarlane, right?
Yes.
Makes that. See, I love him because he can take some, like, with a lot of fans of things, and what people don't seem to know about comedy or about, if it's aimed for a kid or family, you can have comedic moments and you can still have drama in it, and you can still have deeper moments, like, in any, think of like, Homeward Bound or something.
Yeah.
Just a little dogs and animals are talking. They can make you want to cry in a moment because they make a serious, type of situation, or The Lion King or whatever. Like they can make moments that are like impactful at any age. And, nowadays it seems like they can't even do any little slivers of that. It's like, just, let's run it over with a lame joke, or let's just, that thing that we all respected, let's throw it in the garbage and laugh. And it's like, oh, God, no.
Yes.
No.
Yes. And it's just, we just got to beat them over the head until they finally figure it out.
Well, it's refreshing to have somebody like you, U.S. Dutch Kitty. You say U.S. Dutch Kitty?
Just call me Dutch.
Okay, that's good. I was about to ask you if there's an easier way to call it. Looking in the chat, there's quite a few names where I'm like, okay, I wish there was a shorter version, because what an ass, what a bitch, what a like, God, he's a long ass name.
That is a long name, bro.
And then there's another one that's just called "This Is Not Going to Go the Way You Think," and that is his name. I'm like, I don't know how to reference him without doing the whole thing. But
not, or did you think, or
yeah, it said, "Hey, the way you think." Like it's just
yeah.
It's just gonna funny to say.
Oh, real quick. Who was it? The ambassador.
Yeah,
Power
put up
Rangers.
his foot. Yeah.
I like both.
Yeah, but I asked the chat to put up some questions for you in the chat because we will be wrapping it up pretty soon.
Okay.
Question for US Dutch Kitty: Power Rangers or Voltron?
I like both.
They're completely equal?
Well, depends on the stories, but I can't help it. I guess this is the girl part of me. I like animals, but yeah, I like machines. And I love Transformers and put kids in there. It's like I liked it was called G-Force back in the day. Battle for something. Anything like that. I don't know why I love costume heroes with mechs, but it's my thing.
Okay.
What was it called? G-Force back in the day? I used to watch G-Force.
It was one of the dubbed titles, but I forgot what the original title is called.
Yeah. I was a big fan of that. I was 5 years old, but it was amazing.
Yes. Let's see. Oh, Shellback. Yeah. I'm not awesome. There's more awesome
he says
women
she's
than
an
me.
awesome lady. Yes, she is. Okay, this was the name. Yeah.
Yeah, Grumpy Luke. Yes.
This is not. Well, I was saying his name. This is not going to go the way you think. It's like, what's a short nickname for him? I was gonna do Tin. I was gonna try to do it with the capitals of each letter, but that's not gonna work either.
Yeah.
And then Wandering Jedi says, when we do a baby yodeling cake. What? Oh yeah, eating Baby Yoda. So that is actually common.
Yeah.
Everybody's baking cookies, Baby Yoda, and eating them.
Well, that's okay.
Alive. Yeah, just eat them alive. That's the point.
Hi, Riot.
Yeah, but Riot's cool. She's another artist as well. If you haven't kind of know her at all, when you were in the chat that one time, and I think she was in the chat too, and I called one of you guys Kitty. And then I was like, oh, yeah, there's 2 kitties now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's too many kitties in the Phantom Menace.
Yes. One of you guys need to convert to a different animal.
Well, I'm a cheetah, really. I mean, it's in my avatar, but...
I disagree. I don't think we can have too many kitties.
Yeah, more kitties, the merrier,
Battle of the Planets. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Over Easy.
Oh, what's Battle of the Planets?
G-Force.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have a lunchbox still in the attic. Oh, man, that's awesome. You guys hit me with some nostalgia tonight.
Yeah.
He says Voltron is always a win for him.
See, I got into Power Rangers, and then I started looking back, even the old days of the internet, and discovered Voltron.
Okay, see, with Voltron, I don't know. With Power Rangers, I did a thing too. Like, they're all available on Netflix, so I was able to go back and look at some of them, and it's like I was never one of the ones that could watch like all of Mighty Morphin. Like, I just kind of skip around to more interesting episodes.
Yeah.
Usually when something's about to be destroyed, like one of the Zords, that's usually more interesting. Or when they get a new power shift or something, a new villain comes around. Those ones are more interesting in that show. Otherwise, there's lots of duds, I would say. But yeah, like the later, like Time Force is one of my favorite seasons of the whole show because the character building is the best in that one, I'd say. And even Galaxy, like, there's lots of loss in some of these later seasons, and it's like a defeat and it's dire sometimes, and it's like, whoa.
And here's the fun part. A lot of the ones that were naming was at the time owned by Disney.
I know. Yeah, some of them were. Yeah, they went through Nickelodeon, they went through Disney, they went through ABC, I think, and Fox.
It was still under Saban, but they were just being
right. There was like broadcast from a different channel. I remember some being on ABC Family sometimes.
Yeah, but when Disney had theirs, when they had it, they made some fantastic seasons. And so it's kind of like they can take a brand and make it great, even when they're using somebody else's footage. Yeah, it's cheaper, but then they could concentrate on the writing and make characters that people still want to see in the comic books. I love the Power Rangers comic books. You know why? Because it doesn't have any of what we're complaining about. Yes.
I like that you said they make their characters. I think Lord Zed was completely an American creation.
Yes, he was.
And Rita, for a lot of the show, was they switched it up to an American actress. I remember the episode. They had the like they had somebody dressed as Rita, and they're like, okay, so we can't really use too much more of her, so they like made it so she's like putting a face mask on to look younger, so that she'd look different and played by a different actress, and it was like that was pretty clever. That was a nice little way to.
Yeah, they were really trying to stick with the old formula. That's why they didn't switch the costumes from, I can never say the Japanese names, but when they went from of each season. When it went from basically of Mighty Morphin, the Dinozords, to the Thunderzords, that's a completely different series of Super Sentai. Those had their own costumes. And
right, different characters, I assume, too, but they kept it the same.
They kept it the same, and just that's why the Black Ranger had a green lion, but had black tinting on it. So,
All right.
Yeah. So with Disney, they can't do it. They've been shown to do it, even though they sold it back when it wasn't that profitable anymore for them because it newer and shinier things. But they can do it.
Well, and all of Disney's cartoons were based on other stories. So,
yes.
I agree completely. But we're gonna wrap it up really soon.
Okay.
But did you have any final things you wanted to bring up? I love this conversation, by the way. We're gonna do a Power Ranger stream soon at some point with the US Dutch Kitty and a couple other people we'll bring on in at some point. But any last things you want to bring up, or do you have a video that you want to make that you want to tell people about, or something?
Well, let me see. I will say that I am planning. I've been getting a lot of questions lately on that. People that know me, I have Crohn's disease, and people don't really know what it is, but I keep getting questions about it. And I'm just thinking of just sitting down one day and recording a brief description of it, because Second Street Marvel and some other people are saying, hey, we saw you. It looked like you're in the hospital. No, I was just getting some medicine. From what? With my Crohn's. But I'll explain it. And it seems like with the Phantom Menace, everybody has, their own trials and tribulations. I have, and I don't mind sharing myself that way. I don't mind talking about, hey, here's my struggles, and here's the things I love that helped me for the past 14 years. That got me out of some very dark moments and showed me that it's going to be a better tomorrow. And now that those things have helped me is now being destroyed, I have to, again, defend it. So, and that's what brought me to the Phantom Menace.
Well, you'll be a great sword at our side in this battle, because you got the passion.
Sorry. I'm more of a shield than a sword.
Well, still, both are appreciated. I'm glad that you want to defend the passions. I mean, that's something that people will say about this generation, is that there's not any motivation for certain things. But it's like, no, you just got to find it in the right place. It might not be where they think it would be, but where there's passion will become creativity and intelligence, and that's where I think that a lot of the talent is these days. Especially if people don't understand, film is not just, it's just a movie.
No,
I hate that expression. That's like going back in time and saying a book is just a book. It's like, no, that is a piece of the modern culture and where you learn from. That's how you base a lot of your character off of, whether you know it or not.
Yes.
It's there. It will sink in you, whether to avoid something in it or to attribute something to it. Yes, it follows.
Yeah, it's like Gary and so many others say, it's our modern mythology, and we have to protect it.
And I'm really trying to think about in the future, looking back at this period, but like the 2010s, like, Jesus Christ, the historians will be like, okay, so that's our embarrassing. We got the 80s, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, us in 2000s, embarrassing years, and then 2020s or something. Like, I feel they'll just be like, no, let's skip over that time zone because that was the bad time.
Yeah.
The decade they destroyed everything.
Well, it's like the most lack of creativity, I would say, and that's really disappointing because a lot of films that have came out I thought were original ideas, but no, they're still all based on something else. And I'm like, I mean, sometimes it's fine if they haven't had a movie version before, but it's like, can anybody just do something different that isn't already something else? Like, I don't care if it's inspired by something, that's totally fine. A lot of stuff I do is inspired by other things, but it's like, that's how you go forward, is by making something new out of something old without destroying what it was.
Yes.
Could you imagine someone decided to rewrite the Bible in their own way. Like I know that
Well,
I mean, it's probably happened more than once.
they might
Yeah.
be a few detractors, you know.
Yeah.
Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, they took out pieces of the Bible they didn't like. So
Yeah, like, let's just forget about that part right here and let's move on here. This is the
Don't worry
real
about
version. Yeah, this is the real version now. Shh, forget about that other version.
Yeah,
It's this one. This is the new one.
yeah,
The reboot, if you will.
yes,
Yeah,
like
very good at that.
Disney taking away and changing our Star Wars Bibles.
Exactly my point. You're right.
Yep.
So
But yeah, this has been great. I hope everybody in chat has enjoyed this today. This is a new type of live stream that we're doing. I like this big time. I really want to do this. I really want to do this on Sundays. I can't guarantee that the time will be consistent because at my work, they might have me work like an extra 3 hours on Sundays. So it might be in the evening-ish, but we shall see. But if we can, we're going to try to make this an every week thing. Flip, unless that doesn't, if our schedules kind of don't match, we'll see. We'll see what we do. I don't know.
Should be fine. US Dutch Kitty, make sure you DM me at the Fandom Collective.
okay.
I was unaware of your presence, but now that we need to get
I was like, yes, Dutch Kitty's coming on today. He's like, who? I'm like, oh, Flip doesn't live stream too often or anything, so he doesn't always notice the people that are in the chats and interacting and stuff. So
Yeah.
I'm the wizard behind the scenes usually.
yes. Exactly. But yeah, I want to thank the whole chat and everybody for sticking around this time and hanging out. I also okay, this is a problem. We come up with a lot of ideas and then try to implement all of them at once ish, but we're gonna do it slow this time. And at some point, I think it'd be kind of cool if we might do one where we just literally talk to the chat, so everybody that's in there, or we might just drop the link into the chat or something so that people can come on, so anybody can come on and talk if they want to. We just don't want to have a huge group, which is why I kind of like this one-on-one rotating for some people. We'll still do our Wednesday live streams where we have scheduled topics and whatnot. But yeah, this was fun. US Dutch Kitty, we will do a Power Rangers stream soon. It's getting me wanting to talk about it some more. I was going to push it off to later, but kind of making me want to talk about it more now.
He's getting excited.
and again, it's Dutch.
Dutch, yeah. I'll call you Dutch. Gotta do it in a more manly voice, though. This is Dutch. She's pretty cool,
I have a plan.
But yeah, any last words, Flip? As I say before I slit your throat.
Yeah, I was gonna say earlier. I was trying to tell you that it's refreshing to have met you because many people are already on their vibe. They're on the road talking about a lot of the same stuff. And after, I don't know about everybody else, at least for me, I get so tired of hearing myself say the same thing sometimes. But it's true that you need to keep this out there in the giant corporations' ears and eyes, because it is just such a terrible thing that they're doing to our franchises. So it's refreshing that you would come on with so much passion and just, sometimes people just need to hear it in the tone of someone's voice. So yeah, I'm just glad to have met you, and I'm glad that you came on today.
Yeah, I will definitely. I think you were talking about Twitter on Phantom Collective.
Yeah, we'll get you set up.
Okay. Thank you so much, and thank you, Rookie. I mean, what you do on Twitter and on here for so many of us, especially the ladies, for those videos. I'm still waiting for my cookies.
I would send them in the mail, but I don't think that's the best idea, and they won't be quite as fresh.
I know.
I'll call all the ladies' local Subways and make them give you guys a fresh cookie.
Okay. But thank you again so much, and everybody in the chat for being so kind. And this is me.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jay, for coming on too.
Yeah.
And
and the ambassador. Yep. You list them off, Flip.
The ambassador and CBJ and Dutch.
Yes.
Dutch.
And Dutch.
Yep. And we'll do this again. We'll put out more tweets to let you guys know. If you guys want to join us next time, send us a message and we'll set up a schedule and a time slot. And even if you have bizarre time zones, that's okay. Stevie J is in Australia, 18 hours difference, so we can work. We can work with anything. So don't worry. We'll see you guys on this Wednesday. We're still working out a couple of our guests, so see you then.
Bye.
Laters.